Mr. Speaker, returning to page 6 of the calendar, House Bill 1897, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia relating to intercollegiate athletic programs. Reported from the Committee on Appropriations with a substitute.
The gentleman from Colonial Heights, Mr. Cox.
Oh, and a floor. Mr. Speaker, there's also a floor.
Mr. Speaker, I'm going to ask that we reject the committee substitute and adopt the floor substitute.
The questions on the adoption of the committee substitute. As many as favor that motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. No. That substitute is rejected. The question is on adoption of the floor substitute. As many as favor that motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The floor substitute is agreed to. The gentleman from Colonial Heights.
Mr. Speaker, HB 1897 is the athletic fee bill. Let me walk you through sort of the reasoning. Then I would like to quickly walk you through the bill because I think it's a pretty important bill. I want to make sure it's understood. From 2005 to 2013, student fee revenue for athletics increased by almost 90% for Division I institutions. I think what was particularly worrisome is the athletic subsidy has grown from about 40% to slightly more than 46%. That's basically your student fees and some other things thrown in. Your generated revenue, which is everything else, your ticket sales, et cetera, has shrunk from almost 60% to 54%. So sports are becoming less able to generate revenues and more dependent on student subsidy. From 2005 to 2013, average athletic fees at Division I schools grew by 60%. Of course, as you know, JLOG did a comprehensive higher ed study where they talked about student fees for athletics, and they pointed out only 3% of students that attend an intercollegiate or attend a university actually play college sports, but 69% of a college sports are subsidized by student fees. So this is what this bill is meant to address. Let me quickly walk through the floor substitute. If you look at pages 1, 2, up to line 59, basically these are NCAA definitions of various items such as ticket sales, et cetera. They're needed to assist in standardized reporting. One of the things we really want to know is, some of the colleges and universities complain we all report things differently, so this helps with that. If you look at line 60 through 67, that is B. Language in paragraph B requires standardized. This actually requires the standardized reporting of data. This was consistent. I actually had this in budget language last year and did not make it, unfortunately. The next portion, which is important, is sort of how we set the bill up. The subsidy percentage shall not exceed, and you'll see it's different for different institutions and what division they're in. So, for example, 20% subsidy for NCAA Division 1A affiliated with the Atlantic Coast Conference or the Big Five, and then you'll see a breakdown to 55% for NCAA Division 1A institutions affiliated with conferences other than those Big Five. That's one that will affect ODU. We put that in there. So they would not be judged the same as UVA and Tech. They'd be judged probably with schools that are more comparable to them. If you continue to follow along, 70% for Division I AA, 78% for Division I AAA, which would be your schools like VCU that have basketball but do not have football, 81% for Division II, and 85% for a Division II without football. And so you can sort of see the percentages. Just to show you how this construct worked, we took 230 NCAA Division I public institutions and took a mean average. So that's how we came up with the percentages. So that's how those calculations work. Lines 83 and 84, basically, we didn't want those that fell below the subsidy to certainly yank up their student fees. So for every time they go up with their student fees, they've got to go up with their generated revenue, like their ticket sales, et cetera. 85 through 87 requires a 5-year plan. We give them basically 5 years to get here. They have to follow the plan. They write the plan. And if they don't follow the plan, there's certain penalties as far as their autonomy goes. 88 through 90 talks about the APA and how the Auditor of Public Accounts will measure the bill. 91 through 98 talks about, once again, failure to progress and what happens to you. You can lose part of your autonomy the first year you don't comply, and then you can lose the rest of your autonomy. Now, that's going to affect you more if you are, obviously, I just talked about a previous bill, if you're UVA and you're tier 3, it's going to affect you more than a tier 1 school, obviously because you have more autonomy. So please keep that in mind. I know the minority leader asked me about this, so I did want to focus on this. If you'll look at lines 110, basically all the way through lines 155, this is sort of the new language in the substitute. Here was the problem. One of the things that I really want to do is if you move up a division, if you go from Division 2 to Division 1, or you add football, that's a big decision. And currently, if you make a big decision on the academic side, if you want to add a medical school or you want to add an engineering school, Chev has to approve that. So I felt for those big decisions, we need to weigh in on those because they're going to affect us financially. They're going to affect us because if that subsidy goes way up, you lose your ability as an institution, frankly, to make up for that. So you might come back to us and ask for more student aid or more general funds. So this sets up sort of an MEI, for lack of a better term, commission. This is the way it would work. And I'm going on long, but I want to make sure you understand this because I think this is important. Under the old substitute, we simply had to approve if you wanted to move up. The complaints of the universities were that if you're going to move up a division, generally they come to you in that spring and say, are you moving up? Where's your money? And you have to decide in a pretty short window. And so they complained to us, we need to sort of know whether or not you're going to approve us or not. So what we came up with is the same thing we do for governor's projects. And that is we put that same structure together where both members of the Senate, the House, and the executive branch come together. They'll look at your financials, et cetera. And frankly, they'll give you approval like the MEI Commission does. That gives you certainty then that probably we have to come back and finally approve, but probably that move is going to be approved. So that's what the bill does. Mr. Speaker, pretty long, but I hope it's a pleasure to the House to engross the bill and pass it to its third.